Yo, what's up? This is Austin Creole, the After Review podcast. So let's go ahead and roll into it, guys. So we're going to talk all things AFC West today. Might run over a few things with the NFC, maybe talk a little Aaron Rodgers and his ayahuasca experience, Tom Brady, and his relatability in the last couple weeks has been different. He's been kind of naturally just an unrelatable dude. But yeah, let's roll into it. We got the breaking news for today is Russell Wilson has officially signed a deal with the Denver Broncos, extending him through, I believe it's the 2027 season. He is a 5 year, I think it's $245 million. So that puts him up there with Aaron Rodgers. He's getting paid $49 million a year. Puts him up there with Aaron Rodgers, who's making, he's got 3 year, $150 million deal. I honestly, I'm going to go ahead and say, with the Denver Broncos, I got that situation a little red flagged. With Nate Hackett, he came from the Packers. I'm a big Nate Hackett guy. I loved him there. I think he did a really good job as an offensive coordinator. However, he's not really calling the plays. He's not. Matt LaFleur, head coach of the Packers, he's calling the plays. What do we know about Nate Hackett? We just really don't know much about him. This is what we do know about Russell Wilson. He runs every single offensive coordinator he's ever had out of town. Who is Stottenheimer. He had for a while. I mean, I think that was the longest tenured offensive coordinator they had. Dude ran the dude out of town. He has just not been someone who consistently has the same offensive coordinator. So this is kind of what I'm interested in is what is this going to look like with Nate Hackett? I know last week, I believe it was last week when Russell Wilson said that this is really, it's less of a, player coach relationship and more of a partnership. It's a really player led team. Yeah, what doesn't really succeed in the NFL? You have some player led teams, but what really succeeds is Bill Belichick. You want to know what he probably said? The Patriots during their whole dynasty, not a player led team. 2 decades of excellence. That guy has, I don't know, what, 30 playoff wins. It's not a player led team. Who runs that team? Bill freaking Belichick. So I kind of have that situation red flagged. I think their division is really hard. The AFC West, that's going to be the most interesting division of football. So I think give Russell Wilson his flowers. He's a great quarterback. We faced him plenty of times. Obviously, you can tell I'm a huge Packer fan, but we placed him. We faced him a couple times in the playoffs. We lost in that I think it was 2014 NFC Championship where they came back and won. That was tough. We beat him a couple years ago, so that was kind of nice. But I think Russell Wilson's a great dude. He clearly has played to that point where he is like he's inarguably a great. I'd say he's he's probably going to end his career as a top 15, top 20 quarterback. I don't think he's going to get much higher than that. I think he's one of those players who is at the same time overrated and underrated. I think he's underrated for what he was able to do in Seattle the years that they just didn't really. I mean, think about they lost, the Legion of Boom. They lost half the players. Everyone remembers that. I think it was who was there? It wasn't Bobby Wagner because Bobby Wagner just left. 2 or 3 years ago, one of their defensive backs that they had who was excellent. I remember him getting carted off the field and throwing up the middle finger. So that was pretty funny. But man, I don't know if Russell Wilson is going to succeed in Denver. I think he will, but I don't think it's going to be a Peyton Manning wins Super Bowl goes to another Denver, or Tom Brady, big name quarterback. This is really the last 3 quarterbacks that we've seen, big name guys who have gone to another team. I don't count, guys like Matt Ryan, Philip Rivers, Carson Wentz. I'm talking about guys who have won Super Bowls, guys who have won league MVPs, that they go to another team and they succeed. I wouldn't even put Matt Stafford in there. He's a big name guy, but he's not on the same level for most of his career as Russell Wilson, not in the same level as Tom Brady, by God, and definitely not Peyton Manning. But I just have that situation a little red flagged. Let's go ahead and move on to the rest of the AFC West. So yesterday, I think it was either yesterday or this morning, the Bears signed Alex Leatherwood from the Raiders. He got released by the Raiders. He got drafted. I think it goes without saying, but what a complete disaster John Gruden was. Um, Man, they were terrible. The the front office, between him and Mike Mayock, just Don Gruden and Mike Mayock, what a complete disaster that has proven out to be. I think the biggest thing you could say during that whole, tenure that they had is they did not have an identity. They didn't have an identity on offense. They definitely didn't have an identity on defense. They couldn't stop anything on defense. I remember games, watching, and they'd lose the game, 33-40. It's 7 point spread, but they're putting up points on offense. Their defense can't stop anything. But, looking back, just what a complete disaster that was. They drafted, Alex Leatherwood. Who did they draft him over? I think it was Quentin Nelson that they drafted him over. But or it might have been a couple drafts later. But I know they had a chance to get a Pro Bowl all pro player, and they didn't. They took Alex Leatherwood, and now he gets released by the Raiders, picked up by the Bears. I'm not even going to touch the Bears right now. I think they have the potential to be the worst team in the league. Justin Fields is going to get killed. If you're picking an offensive lineman who just got released by a team, and I want to put this in context, right? You have this offensive lineman still on his rookie deal. He gets released by a team. When's the last time that besides injury, character stuff, when's the last time a first round pick still on his rookie deal gets released by the team? That's huge. That says a lot about how truly terrible Alex Leatherwood is. And then he gets picked up by Bears to bolster an already terrible offensive line. That's bad. That says a lot. So let's go ahead and I'm going to continue talking about the Raiders, just to kind of state how bad that their tenure was, the drafting multiple players. I mean, what's the first thing that he did when he got there, right, is he gets rid of Khalil Mack. One of the first things he does, get rid of Khalil Mack. Amari Cooper, Khalil Mack, all pro player. One of the better defensive players. I don't think he won defensive player of the year, but he was right there. For a couple of years, who was right there. And Mark Cooper, one of the better route runners in the NFL. And I mean, it goes without saying, Mark Cooper played for the Cowboys, had great success. Now he's with the Cleveland Browns, going to see what he does there. But, just the true mismanagement that the Raiders went through. And I can't say enough about Derek Carr to, go through that mismanagement, all that crap that he had to deal with, and come out on the other side. What's getting paid right now, $40 million quarterback. So, I mean, just think about, I'm a big Clemson guy for sure. They drafted Clelin Ferrell with, I think it was a top 10 pick. Dude's going to turn out to be a complete disaster. He's not an NFL player. As simple as that. He was undersized for his position, and I want to talk about them not having an identity is, they're talking about, they want to draft these high character guys to get guys like Hunter Renfrow, Clelin Ferrell, guys from Clemson, high character guys. Well, they drafted these high character guys. You know what you need to have to, win in the NFL? You need to have high character guys for sure. You need guys who can play NFL football. And they continually drafted guys who cannot play NFL football. Alex Leatherwood, Clelin Ferrell, just, what an all-time disaster, right? Cool. So let's go ahead and transition from the, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the AFC West. I'm going to hit on the Chiefs for a second. All these people are saying, the Broncos are going to win the AFC West. The Chargers are going to win the AFC West. The Raiders, could come and win the AFC West. Who's probably going to win the AFC West? The same team, Andy Reid. Andy Reid's been winning the AFC West since he had Alex Smith throwing out routes to the fastest wide receiver in the league in Tyreek Hill. Dude was throwing out routes to Tyreek Hill, to slant routes to the fastest wide receiver in the NFL. Who's probably still going to win is the same guy who's been winning the AFC West for 7 years in a row that he's won it. Until the Broncos or the Chargers, I don't think the Raiders have a chance to win the AFC West. I think they could probably get into a wild card spot. But I'm going to put my money on the guys who's won for 7 years in a row. Made it to 4 AFC championships in a row. The Chiefs will be fine. They act like losing. Tyreek Hill was a disaster. The guy's clearly kind of gotten out of that. It's like when you get out of your parents' house and you can finally kind of act who you want to be. Kind of what he's doing, right? He leaves and he talks about, you know, uh, what's his Tua is the most accurate quarterback he's ever seen. Perhaps, perhaps. But for now, I'm going to continue to bet on Mahomes. Let me talk about one other thing. Talking about players who left the Chiefs. Sammy Watkins recently said that Aaron Rodgers is the most, like the field. He's the field general. And there's been some pushback on that. People, saying like, Colin Cowherd said that, just, saying just kind of bitter against the Chiefs, for, getting them, he got traded. I think I don't think he got traded. I think he got cut. Sammy Watkins did, but maybe it's real. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is a better field general. You want to know why? Because this is his 18th season in the NFL. So I don't think it's really bitterness. I don't think it's anything weird. I think it's a lot different than what Tyreek Hill said. I think Tyreek Hill was actively trying to go after, Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid. I think Sammy's just being a real dude, man. I think he sees Aaron Rodgers and goes, man, this guy's a field general. This guy is, top of his craft right now. And I think it's legitimate. Also, we're not comparing Tua to Aaron Rodgers. There's a big difference there. The one guy, I mean, by God, how many people have the Miami Dolphins tried to replace Tua with? I think that I know there's Deshaun Watson talk, Tom Brady. They even talked about that. And I mean, there's been so many trade rumors at this point where if you have a guy that you believe in, you're not going to try to trade him. He's not. So I think that says a lot about the Miami Dolphins, and less about Aaron Rodgers. So let's go ahead and segment to something else I kind of want to talk about. So I want to talk about some of what the Eagles are doing. So originally, when Jalen Hurts came out, I wasn't a big Jalen Hurts guy. I watched him play in college. He played against Alabama. They beat him in that 2017 national championship, and he played really well. Tua came along. He ended up transferring to Oklahoma. He played really well again. I think he had a really successful career in college, but he was never a super accurate passer. He's not a very refined quarterback, didn't have the qualities of someone that you think was going to succeed in the NFL. The dude's a grinder. This is all I've heard, following the Eagles, following him on Twitter. Everyone talks about the one big thing is, if you're not the most accurate guy, you're not the best guy, right? If you can be a grinder, and the most successful people in life are just grinders. And that's what Jalen Hurts is. And I don't know if I'd pick them to win the NFC East this year, but I think they're going to be pretty darn close. I think they're going to be better than a lot of people expect. I mean, not now, because I think people are – I don't think anyone's short of the Eagles anymore. I think everyone believes that they're going to be a 10-11 win team. Honestly, I don't know what Vegas has them at, but I think they're going to be pretty good. I think Howie Roseman is their GM, but I don't think there's been a much more aggressive guy in the league, for the GM position than Howie Roseman. Goes out and gets CJ Gardner-Johnson from the Saints. I guess he couldn't work out a deal with the Saints. But they already have a pretty solid defense. They have one of the better defensive lines in the NFL. Well, guess who they go get? They go get CJ Gardner-Johnson to be an extra part of their defense. Not their defensive line, but an extra part of their defense. That he went and got A.J. Brown from the Tennessee Titans. I don't know if he's in that top group of wide receivers, but he is right there. He is on, tier 2 level, top, mid to top of tier 2. So you go get, a great wide receiver. Then, and then the cool thing is, I wouldn't say the cool thing, but the ironic thing is, they got rid of Jalen Reagor now, who is just, it was ironic that he got drafted over Justin Jefferson, who, it turned out, he's on historic pace. He's had, back-to-back seasons. His first 2 seasons of the year, he's over 3,000 yards total for receiving. That's the first time that's ever been done. So kind of to set up the scenarios, the Eagles drafted Jalen Reagor. The Vikings drafted Justin Jefferson. Jalen Reagor's turned out to pretty much be a bust in his first 2 years. Justin Jefferson's been an all-time great in his first 2 years. Well, now the Minnesota Vikings traded for Jalen Reagor. Granted, I think it was like a conditional 5th-round pick, not a good pick. But it's kind of funny that the team who, kind of laughed at the Eagles for drafting Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson now actually have Reagor on their squad. But Howie Roseman's done nothing but make that team better. And they had a Super Bowl roster, it hit the fan, and now they don't have a Super Bowl roster because just I don't believe that Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl quarterback. But they're getting close. They have a playoff roster, that's for sure. I think they're going to be pretty darn good this year. I think they could easily compete with the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East. And they have the talent. If Jalen Hurts continues to get more accurate, Jalen Hurts continues to get better, they have the talent to go and to win 11, 12 games. So I wouldn't know maybe that 12 mark, but I could see it. They have a pretty easy schedule as well. So that's kind of what's interesting. I think that there's a lot of potential there with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll say this. I'm not short on this year. I think they could be great. So let's talk about, let's continue to stick the NFC. Let's talk about Tom Brady, man. Tom Brady's probably said the most relatable things last week. I know I'm a little late to the news on this, but again, first pod, so gonna hit some stuff. Tom Brady said, he was in a quarterback. He was in the, post game press conference for the quarterback. And a reporter asked him about his 11-day hiatus from the Tampa Bay Bucks, and he goes, "Man, I'm 45. I got a lot of ish going on." And that's probably been the most relatable thing that he said in probably 4 or 5 years. I'm not going to try to speculate. Personally, this is I believe that the dude was probably trying to save his marriage. Gisele has been in front and forward with the fact that she wants him to retire. He's got kids who are, in high school. I think he's got a kid that was in high school, one in junior high. But his kids aren't young anymore. He's got older kids. His wife is, telling him at this point, "Man, you're 45. You don't have anything to prove. You have 3 more Super Bowls than the next guy on the all-time great list. Montana's got 4." And he's like, "Dude, I got 7. I got 3 more Super Bowls than you do." You can't even compare Joe Montana and Tom Brady. If you think, I'm sure there's people out there who still think Joe Montana is the GOAT. Whatever, who knows? No one will understand that, but whatever. But I think he was probably trying to spend some more time with his family. He probably made a promise in the off season that, he unretired, and now he's got to keep again. But I do want to mention something too. I don't know if I was just the only person, but it sure looks to me that, facial area looks like Tom got some work done. So he's looking a little more, little stranger these days. But I think that's probably the most relatable thing that I've heard Tom Brady say in the last, 4, 5, 6 years. It's just, "Man, I'm 45 years old. I got a lot going on." So that was pretty funny. Let's go ahead and hit Aaron Rodgers with his ayahuasca experience. I thought that was, if you have a chance, it's on YouTube, but go look up the interview with Joe Rogan. There's another podcast out there called Bussin' with the Boys, and they both did interviews with Aaron Rodgers. It was pretty cool, to listen to a guy talk about, an experience, with psychedelics. It's pretty interesting. I'm not personally into that stuff, but I thought that was pretty interesting to hear someone talk about that. I think he didn't necessarily credit it for his back-to-back MVP seasons, but he definitely kind of hinted. It was like, you know what, that might have contributed a little bit. But I think the NFL, the NFL media, guys like Skip and, oh man, Shannon. I think a couple days ago, Shannon came out, was like, Aaron Rodgers, ended the segment. He's like, "He's a prick," and I thought that was pretty funny. Honestly, pretty funny. I think they just try to paint him as the bad guy, as a bad man, and not in a good way, not a bad man like Stephen A used to call him. But I think they just paint him out to be a bad guy, and he's not. They paint him out to be selfish, kind of a douchebag, a jerk. And a lot of teammates have come out in the last couple of years and have said the exact opposite about him. So, whether it's here nor there, whether it's true, it seems to me like he might not be a bad guy after all. But, yeah, if you ever have a chance, go listen to that, the ayahuasca experience. It's pretty funny. Pretty funny. He talks about, just basically just tripping out, man. Um, so last but not least, I want to kind of go over, I'm going to go over the Matt Ariza allegations, kind of hit some serious notes real quick. Um, you know, I think I think the Buffalo Bills did exactly what they're supposed to do. Um, it appears to me that I think the team he played for, I think it was San Diego State. I might be wrong. South Dakota State. I can't remember. But Matt Ariza, Ariza, however you pronounce his last name, he there was some allegations came out about, I'm just gonna say, he got accused with him and a couple other players on the squad of gang rape, and it's pretty clear. I think it was San Diego State. Pretty clear that they covered that up. So can't blame the NFL for it, because a lot of teams, a lot of GMs, pretty much said, hey, you know what, we scouted the guy. There were some other small character problems. We knew nothing about it. Same thing with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills did exactly what they're supposed to. They went to him and he was like, I didn't do it, dude. I didn't do it. And then came back later, and after some more, evidence came out, which looks like there's a good chance that he did it. If he did it, man, get him out of the league. And he's already, he's out of the league. And I don't think any team's going to try to pick him up. But the Buffalo Bills cut him. They did the right thing. They went to him first. But, this is not even on the same level as Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, what he did is rough. It's bad. This is beyond what that could ever hope to be. This is pretty bad. But I'm very glad the Buffalo Bills, people talk about, the I'm trying to think of what the word would be, but people think about what the league looks like. They talk about what the league is now, and you hear a lot of people talk about just the criminals that are in the league, just bad dudes. Man, it seems to me like a lot of the bad dudes get cut pretty quick. The guys who come out, guys got Henry Ruggs, obviously. They talk about, they're like, oh, there's a different set of standards for NFL players. I don't know, man. Henry Ruggs is spending 25 to life in prison. He's going to be there for a long time. If this stuff comes out is true about Matt Ariza, he's going to be in prison for a long time. So right now it's a civil court, civil case. And like I said, the Buffalo Bills did the right thing. They checked with him, and then it became pretty evident that he might be lying about it. And they got him. They got rid of him. So NFL did what they're supposed to. Matt, it seems to me like he's a pretty bad dude. Some of the details of the story seems like there's good chances probably true that what he did. But yeah, so I'm going to go over I'm going to go ahead, do the, so I got this last segment that's called, it's literally called the last call segment. So this segment is, basically I'm just going to go hit the last call, and it'll be kind of who I think are going to be the division winners. I'm going to go by each. And I'm going to update this every week, especially once we hit the NFL season. But I want you guys to hold me accountable. This is going to be the big one. So I'm going to go with the NFC North. I'm going to start off first, man. Got to go with the Packers, dude. I know they lost Davante Adams. Aaron Rodgers, 4-time MVP, Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl winner. He's got it under control, whether it's, RELAX, relax, or we think we're going to run the table, I think we'll be pretty good this year. Don't know if we're going to hit that 13 win mark, but I think we'll hit 12 wins. I know Colin's picking the Vikings to win. Man, I just got to go with the MVP. So the NFC North, I'm going to say the Packers. The NFC South, man, I'm just going to have to go to the Bucks. There is something weird going on with the Bucks. They are losing. I think they've lost 4 out of 5 of their offensive linemen. Definitely not good. But I just, I think the next team up would be the New Orleans Saints. But the big difference between the New Orleans Saints this year and last year is a dude named Sean Payton, who's like the Bill Parcells of offensive play calling. Like, I think Dennis Allen might turn out to be a good head coach. Who's a great head coach? Sean Payton. So I think I got the Saints significantly below. I think I got them 2 or 3 wins below the Bucks. So let's go ahead the NFC East. You know, I'm gonna make a bold pick. Bold pick. I'm gonna go the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're gonna go 11-6. Um, I think they're gonna. I think it's gonna come down to one of the last games of the season, and I think they're gonna beat the Dallas Cowboys in the last game of the season. I know the Cowboys crushed them last year in their final matchup, but I'm gonna say pretty confidently that the Eagles are gonna win the NFC East. And then lastly, the NFC South. Or sorry, I said NFC South, NFC East, NFC West. Man, that's probably. I think you have three teams in that division. The Pete Carroll Seahawks are tanking. I mean, they're gonna suck. But I think you have three teams in that division who could potentially win it. I'm not a big Cliff Kingsbury guy. I'm not a big Kyler Murray. Close friend of mine, Joe. I thought I was gonna be wrong there for a couple years, and then it turned out I was pretty right. Cliff Kingsbury at the end of the year, dude, collapses, all-time collapse. I think his record at the last, like, if every season, all the way back to Texas Tech, his record at the end of the year is like 30%, 30. He wins 37% of his 37% of his games at the final six games of the season. All-time collapse every single year. Every single year, he's an all-time collapse. So I have a hard time wanting to pick them. I think I'm kind of overcomplicating this, but the 49ers, man, I'm not even going to talk about the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. We'll save that for the next pod. But I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. The 49ers got a young quarterback. I love Kyle Shanahan. His zone run scheme's so much fun to watch. But yeah, I love Kyle Shanahan. And, I think that's going to be a really interesting situation down there in San Francisco. But I'm just going to have to go with the LA Rams. Super Bowl winners. They bring back pretty much everyone on the squad, including, defensive, all-time great defensive player Aaron Donald, who was caught swinging helmets this week. And kind of underplayed his involvement in that. But I'm going to go with the LA Rams to win the NFC West. So let's go ahead and hit the AFC real quick. I think you guys know who I'm picking for the AFC West is Chiefs, man. Just going to go with the safe choice. The AFC East, another easy, probably the easiest pick I've ever made in my life is the Buffalo Bills. I will say this. I'm going to spend about 30 seconds talking about the Patriots. I think that could be the worst Patriots team that we've ever seen with Bill Belichick. Ever seen. I think they could be worse than the team 2 years ago that was when 7-9 and missed the playoffs. I think the Patriots could win 6 games, honestly. If it wasn't Bill Belichick, for Bill Belichick, we saw Matt Patricia and Joe Judge epically fail. They made the teams that they were on significantly worse. So now they got control of the offense. One guy's a special teams coach, and then the other guy's a defensive coordinator. No, I think they're going to be pretty bad. And I say that because I think beyond the Jets, I think the Dolphins are going to be a lot better. And I think the Bills are just going to be freaking awesome. I got them winning the Super Bowl. But yeah, that's going to be such an easy team to pick is just go with the Buffalo Bills. The AFC South, that's a lot harder. I think Indy could make a run for it, but Tennessee Titans, they got Derrick Henry back, 2,000-yard rusher. I think he's going to hit, somewhere in that 2,000 yards. The dude was rolling last year. If they just don't overuse him, I think he's easily the best back in the NFL. But I think Tennessee Titans are the safe choice right now. We know the Texans and the Jags. I think the Jags are going to be much improved. I think the Texans are going to hover in that 7-win range. I'm interested in Davis Mills. I'm going to watch a lot of him this year, honestly. But I'm just going to go with the Tennessee Titans. And then lastly, the AFC North. This is probably going to be one of the harder divisions to pick. I think the Browns, after that 11-game suspension, I think it's going to be hard for them to come back. But Bengals, Joe Burrow, dude is awesome. I think Joe Burrow is a savior of Cincinnati. And then you have Lamar Jackson. Just going to talk about Lamar Jackson for a second. They got to pay the guy. Just pay him. You have Deshaun Watson, who is, by all admissions, just a creepy dude who got $230 million. Just give Lamar Jackson the money. The dude has accomplished more than Deshaun Watson by far in his career right now. No character problems. And he's practicing on a contract that's like a rookie contract right now still. It's his 5th year. I believe it's 5th year option, but that's the contract he's practicing on. Just pay the man. So I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens. And that should end my picks, and that should end my pod. But see you guys next week. You guys have a great day. And subscribe and hit that like button, guys. Thank you.